What's up, everybody? It is Andrew here from AppleInsider. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. And I am a huge iPad Pro user. This is my existing 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and I use it every single day. I do a lot of content creation for AppleInsider. With this guy, I write, I do videos, I edit my photos. A lot of stuff goes into work and production that is accomplished on this tablet. So I was super keen to see what Apple was going to pull out of its sleeve for the updated iPad Pros. And my biggest takeaway is Apple got it nearly perfect. There are two features, people, that put the new iPad Pro away from being perfect. That's it. There are two things that I would love to see that would make the updated iPad Pros perfect. And I think that's incredible. I'm excited for the new iPad, but it's still missing two features from being the perfect tablet. So let's talk about the two features that are missing from the iPad Pro that would really make it perfect. Now, the first one, Apple is halfway there, and that is external monitor support. So as it stands, you can use an iPad Pro with an external monitor. Kind of. There are actually a bunch of different apps, including several from Apple, several from third parties, that can take advantage of an external monitor. But when Apple originally launched the feature, there was no mouse support on iPad OS. So that's still how it sits. When you connect an external monitor, you can display something else, but you can't interact with that external display. There are apps like if you're editing a spreadsheet of some sort, you're looking at a very close-up cell on your iPad, but your external display may show the entire spreadsheet. Or perhaps you're editing a video in LumaFusion or iMovie, you can see your timeline here. And then on your external display, you have the large, output, the real, image of what you're editing. You can actually see what you're editing and everything. And for some instances, it really helps. Some, it doesn't do all that much. But I think really for the iPad Pro to become, the true killer device, it needs real external monitor support, where I can actually see my dock on there, or my desktop, my background, my home screen, whatever you want to call it, and you can interact with it. If you have a keyboard and mouse hooked up, really a mouse, you should be able to interact with that display just like you could with a Mac or any other computer on an external display. And unfortunately, that's really been holding me up. Like, I don't ever use an external display with my iPad just because most of the time, 90% of the time, it's just mirroring my screen. It just looks bigger. And then I have to set this aside somewhere, or I have to look at two of the same screen. It's just confusing and weird, and it just needs that real external display support. So that's the first feature that Apple needs to add to the iPad Pro to make it a true killer device. The second feature that Apple needs to add, and there's one specific to me, but a broader category in general, and that is its Pro apps. So for me, that includes Final Cut Pro, no longer Final Cut Pro 10, just Final Cut Pro, but I can also see Logic Pro and even Xcode coming to the iPad. I have heard on Twitter developers have been yelling for Apple to add some form of Xcode development to iPad. Same thing goes for Logic and Final Cut. These are Apple's Pro apps, and they're calling this the iPad Pro, and they don't have their actual Pro apps available on it. You have iMovie, which is a stripped-down version of Final Cut, and you have GarageBand, stripped-down version of Logic. Where are these Pro apps? Apple's using the same processors here on iPad as they are doing on the Mac, and yet we don't have the same caliber apps. Apple's expecting third parties to do this stuff. Oh, sure, bring Photoshop to iPad, bring Affinity to iPad, bring Premiere to iPad, but they won't do the same with their own apps, at least not yet. There have been rumors swirling for a long time that Apple is working on bringing these Pro apps to iPad, and honestly, I think it's going to happen. I really think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I was really hoping, crossing my fingers, crossing my toes, that Apple was going to make the announcement of these Pro apps coming to iPad at their spring-loaded event, and they didn't do it. So I am now holding out hope that we're going to see it at Dub this June. Apple easily could add these features with new updates to iPad OS, which would easily enable that external monitor support. It seems like it should be a no-brainer for Apple to bring that to iPad, so we could see that with iPad OS. And then with an updated version of iPad OS, it may enable the features or functionality that Apple deems necessary to bring its Pro apps over, including Final Cut, Logic, and Xcode. But honestly, with those two features, the iPad Pro is going to be unstoppable. I am still absolutely picking up the updated 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I'm sorry, I'm lusting after that display and I can't do anything about it. So I'm definitely picking up the updated iPad Pro. And I'm super curious at where Apple is going to go with iPad OS later this year. Let me know what you guys think. Are these the two features that you need to see from an iPad Pro to make it a perfect device? Or are there other features that you feel Apple is missing that it should bring to its popular tablet? Let me know over on Twitter at Andrew_OSU, and stay tuned to Apple Insider. We've got a whole lot more videos coming.